Hey everybody, so today I had my first encounter with the Deutsche Polizei, so the police here in Germany, and needless to say, it was a little unexpected. So I have to share this experience with you because I'm still a little freaked out in a very unexpected way. So my husband and I are like driving down the road, our main road that we always take to get from our little town to the interstate, right? And it's all in kilometers. It's like one point, it's like 70 kilometers, the next like 100 kilometers. 100 kilometers is the max there, which is really like 60 miles an hour. But everyone kind of just drives whatever they want because they're so used to being on the Autobahn, right? Our interstate here in Germany, where we can drive as fast as we want to, right? So everyone kind of does whatever they want. But today, for whatever reason, there were police out waiting and watching, and we didn't see them and we didn't know. And so my husband was like, we're running late, and he was just driving kind of whatever he wanted. So it wasn't too fast, but a little bit faster than what we're used to anyway, right? And so then suddenly there's a man and he's standing in the middle of the road and he puts his hand out and he's like waving us to the side. And I'm like, oh my God, like what is happening? Like we're getting pulled over. Like, okay, breathe, calm down. Okay, like I'm like looking for my passport. Like I'm a foreigner in this country. I'm like, okay, what do I have here? Like calm down. We'll be okay. I don't have my documents with me, but I have my residence permit and that should be okay. And I'm like, getting ready to like put my hands on the dashboard. Like we don't want anything concealed. We want our hands, in view of everything. And so now he's like pulled us over, this man, not in a vehicle, like just waving us down slowly. And he comes to our window and he tells us to roll it down. And I'm like, okay, just breathe. And I'm not spoken to because I wasn't driving. Thank goodness my husband was the one driving. He's German. And he asked my husband to get out of the car. And I'm like, okay, this is getting real. Just calm down. Just breathe. Just act German, right? So I'm like putting on my serious face and I'm like, okay, don't say anything, don't do anything. And then my husband looks at me and in English, he's like, hey, can you hand me our registration? And I'm like, wie bitte? Like, excuse me? And I'm like, I'm like, Andreas, like, aber wir sprechen hier Deutsch, wir sprechen kein English, And I'm like, I'm saying like, we don't speak English, we speak German to each other, I'm like, don't know that I'm a foreigner, don't listen to my accent, like we are good German residents, we abide by the law and things, so I'm handing him my registration and it's my car, of course, and so it's in my name and not in his name. So they're like, well, did you borrow this car? Because I have a very American name. He's like, no, it's my wife's. I'm like, oh gosh, now he's going to want to talk to me and I want to talk to him. And so then he doesn't need to talk to me after all, but then they go to the back of the car and I'm like, he's going to search our car. Like, what is happening? And he looks in the back and of course, my husband had left an entire beer kista. It's like a whole case of beer, which is pretty typical in Germany. People like go and buy a whole case of beer and they just keep that at their house at all times, or for a party you might have several, but we of course had left it in our car because it's heavy and we want to bring it in. And so then he's like looking at it, he's like, it's like 11 o'clock in the morning, by the way, right? He's like, have you been drinking today, sir? And my husband's like, oh, no, you can test me if you need to. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, don't let them know there's a reason to test. Like, what is happening here? So then after a few minutes, like my husband asked for his wallet again in English. I'm like, come on now. And so then I hand him his wallet. I'm like, what is happening? Like, they're going to take him in. They're going to breathalyze him. Like, why do they need more information from him? And then my husband just comes back to the car. And I was like, okay, like, what is happening? And he hands me a little slip. I don't have a little slip with me, a little slip of paper. And it had like 5 euros, 10 euros, 15 euros, 20 euros. And you could like circle one and it looked like a lottery ticket. I was like, what is this thing? Like, did we win a prize? Like, what is happening? And sure enough, there was one circle, and according to how fast you were going, that's how much you had to pay. And if you had the cash with you, you could just like hand the policeman cash. And if you didn't, it was fine. You were just supposed to mail in this cash later. I was like, what? And so my husband just like handed the guy a 20 euro bill and it was just done and it was fine. And I'm like sitting there in shock. He's trying to explain this to me. I'm looking at our little receipt that looks like a lottery ticket, not sure what we've won or what we haven't won or what's happening from this point forward. And then the policeman comes back up to us and he's like, oh, have a nice day, you guys. Enjoy your time in the city or whatever we were going to do. And I'm like still like sitting there like frozen to the dashboard. And I'm like slowly taking my hands back and I'm like, okay, like, this is what happened. Did he literally just like wish us a good day and like it's over? And like, yeah, my husband just like rolled up the window and it was fine. And we just like drove away slowly. And I was like, what is happening? Like, I was so worried. And I thought, like, they shouldn't know we were foreigner. And I can't believe you were speaking to me in English. And like, why did this even happen? My husband's like, no, it's fine. Like, yeah, I mean, that's the difference, right? Like, our tagline here for our policemen is Dein Freund and Helfer. And I couldn't believe it. Like all the stories that I'm so used to in the States, and I support, law enforcement and whatnot, and just, but as a foreigner, I didn't expect to have such normal treatment, or that people would be so Freundlich is the word. They were so friendly. Dein Freund and Helfer translates to your friend and helper, and that's how the police understand themselves here in Germany. Interesting comparison to in America, protect and serve, and we definitely had a very different experience on that day. And so I was glad to see that even though I had my accent and everything, it didn't seem to be a problem. And we have our cute little lottery ticket that was actually a payment ticket as a souvenir for this interesting experience. So that's the police in Germany. I learned maybe I didn't need to have my hands so tightly gripped on the dashboard.